and welcome back to Living Even Keeled. I'm Patricia, but today my husband Brian is going to be making his Instant Pot pasta for you using the ingredients you see here. This is sort of like a pantry meal with the exception of sausage that we keep in our freezer, but it's sort of like the pantry for frozen things. This is also the perfect meal for us to put on a Monday before we can get out to the store to get the groceries we need for the rest of our meal plan. So if you don't have an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker, you could do this on the stove, but I don't know exactly how long you're going to want to cook that sauce for, but just play it by ear. So for those of you who do have a pressure cooker, we're just setting it to the saute function on high. Once that's heated up, you're going to add a little bit of olive oil and begin to brown your sausage. You're not going to cook it all the way through. You're just going to get that little bit of color on it, give it a little crust, and help it have some of that delicious flavor that you sometimes miss from doing things in a slow cooker or pressure cooker. Now, warning, if you don't like to see this type of thing, you might want to look away, but we are just going to remove the meat from the casing. We do not need the casing here because we're going to break up our sausage into bite-sized pieces. But you can leave them however big or small you like. We make them into sort of 1-inch cubes almost. This, my 3-year-old calls meatballs, and so we like that. That's fine. She thinks it's a meatball without all the work of meatballs. Plus, they're big enough for my sometimes pickier 5-year-old to avoid them. And I think they're just the perfect size, so everybody wins. Now that our sausage has a little color on it, we're going to go in with the dried herbs. So again, this is a pantry meal, so we're using everything dried here. My husband likes to break up the dried herbs a little bit in his hand before putting them into the pot. He says it helps release the flavor, and I'm trusting him because all of his food is so delicious. So we're starting off with a little bit of dried thyme, and then following up with our dried oregano. Just for reference, most of our herbs do come from Trader Joe's, but you can get them, of course, anywhere. Then we're doing a shortcut. He tells me he's ashamed to reveal his shortcut, but he adds garlic powder. We used to do fresh garlic, but we just decided to make things easier for ourselves sometimes, and we go ahead and use the dried stuff. Don't tell his grandma. Once you've added those 3 spices, we're going to move on to the tomato products. So these are, again, canned because, once again, pantry meals. So we're adding an entire large can of like San Marzano style tomatoes. And one little swoosh of water. You can go over here and see my husband's adding just a little splash. There we go. Swirl it around and get the rest of that tomato flavoring. Plus, the can then becomes your spoon holder. So he's rinsing it off so that he can use it without dirtying the countertop. Look at that little tip for you. Just like the sausage, we're going to go in and break up each of these tomatoes in half or maybe in thirds, just so they're still big and bite-sized and meaty, but a little bit smaller than they naturally come. If you are curious about how to make meatballs in a slow cooker, I have a crock pot recipe, pasta and meatballs that I can link for you. But ever since getting our Instant Pot, we have decluttered both our rice cooker and our crock pot. Now, the second tomato product we're adding is a small can of tomato paste. We have a lot of this tomato paste on hand. It's one of the few canned products we get from Costco. Like I said, we go through it pretty often. We have pasta a couple times a month, and it's just great to have on hand. These are the only 2 products, and we have the best sauce. There's a look at the chef for you. This sauce is delicious. It's so good. It's very simple, and it tastes way better than any prepared sauce that you could buy. Typically, you would make this all day and let it cook and really develop its flavors, but because of the pressure cooker, we're able to do the same thing and get this same result in just about 12 minutes. We are adding 1 entire tomato paste can sized full of water to the pot as well. Now, to sweeten it up and help balance out what can sometimes be described as a tinny type flavor from the tomatoes, we're going to be adding some shredded carrot. Now, we only have a few baby carrots on hand, but you can use a regular sized carrot too. The carrot is just invisible. Nobody knows it's there. It just helps balance things out. Sometimes people might add sugar, which can do the same thing, but we just use the natural sugar from the carrot. Then go in and add a little bit of salt, and just be prepared to add more at the end. It's always nice to salt to taste, and so we'll be tasting this at the end. But on this particular day, we got it right. We did not need to add any more salt. Now, my husband likes to add the fresh basil last. He doesn't like to cook basil as long as other things, and sometimes he'll add it at the very end and hardly cook it in at all. Now, I did say fresh basil. I meant to say the dried basil, but either way, basil doesn't do too good if you cook it too long. That's his opinion, and like I said, I'm trusting this man. He's experimented with times and landed on 12 minutes as the magic number on regular high pressure. But if you've not used one of these before, remember it does take a few minutes to come up to pressure before the timer starts, and it also takes a few minutes to release the pressure, whether you do it manually or not. Once you are about ready, you can go ahead and boil your pasta. The reason I don't recommend doing it right away is because you do need that pressure cooker to come up to pressure first, and so you might not time it exactly right, and you don't want your noodles sitting around. But we just cook the noodles per the box instructions. We have a different pasta every time we make this. My girls like certain types, I like certain types, and so we just get whatever's on sale. So now we're gonna take a look at this awesome sauce. It is so good, I cannot tell you. It's the best sauce I've tasted. I love his sauce. I think it's wonderful, and you wouldn't know that it only took him a few minutes. When we used to make pasta, it was an all-day ordeal. We'd cook the meatballs and they'd go forever in the slow cooker, even on the stove top. And not only is it so much more simplified now with this Instant Pot, but we can also put our leftovers away in the pot, which makes a big difference because tomorrow when we go to eat this again, we can just warm it up right in the same Instant Pot. Then we go to plate it up. Our two girls like it differently. I know some of you with kids can relate. Sometimes kids just love buttered noodles with cheese, and so that's how one of my daughters eats it. She likes it plain, but whenever we do have leftovers, she'll eat it with sauce because we do mix the rest of the noodles all together. But she at least gets one plate of just buttered noodles, and then her second plate tomorrow will be regular pasta. We are grating some fresh Parmesan on top. We also like pecorino. Parmesan is a little bit softer. Both are fine, whatever you can find at the store, but we like to use the fresh stuff, and we'll even sometimes shave this into salads and things like that. So there you have it, you guys, a very simple pasta meal. This is pantry perfect, Instant Pot perfect, or even if you're doing it on the stovetop, it's very easy. Don't forget for the adults to pair your pasta with your favorite $5 bottle of Target wine, and you will have the perfect meal to kick off your Monday before you can get out to the store and get all the rest of the fresh ingredients. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. I don't want you to go away empty-handed. I have more videos coming your way. Thank you for tuning in, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.